I have a friend who was convinced that Epstein didn't kill himself, and we did know all of the details, but in fact, I think the tapes have been released now, and you don't want to listen to that. It's gruesome of the suicide sort of tape. Of course,
Mm,
people can come and say, "Oh, the tape's been rigged."
yeah.
It's somebody else. It's always something else, right? But open-mindedness is about, look, we don't know for sure. But here's what the evidence says. Here's what the evidence doesn't say. For every conspiracy, I always challenge people, come up with a non-conspiratorial alternative. And that's what open-minded thinking is about. If you just jump to the conclusion that there's evil people plotting behind the scenes, trying to trick you all the time, that's not a legitimate, scientific, open-minded way of thinking, right? And that's
Yeah.
the problem.
So the Epstein tapes have been released already? Because if they are, I definitely need to go check those out. I wasn't even
Somebody
aware.
told A reliable source told me at dinner last night, actually, told me that they've been released, and that they're um, very difficult to listen to them. And so I haven't listened to it myself, but I yeah I trust this person. But yeah, if it turns out that this is fake news, do tell your listeners. But I think that they've been released, and that hopefully that
Yeah.
should. Well, you think that would squash that conspiracy, but maybe they'll just come up with reasons of why the tape is
Yeah.
fake.
I haven't seen the tapes, and if they're released, I'm definitely I'll go check them out. I have seen there were clips circulating of Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, discussing the Epstein tapes on Rogan, and Joe Rogan asked him, like, "Where are the tapes? Like, what's going on?" And Kash Patel's response to that was like, "Do you really think the FBI would cover up the Epstein tapes? And whatever we have, we're gonna release it." And in my mind, I was thinking, regardless of what happened to Epstein, whether he killed himself or not, that's a terrible argument for the director of the FBI to make because the FBI has had a history of lying in the past with the COINTELPRO and Patriot Act abuses. And so something I sort of like checked during that conversation because I knew you were coming on is how responsible are these agencies like the FBI for fueling public distrust and validating conspiratorial thinking. Because when you have a credibility vacuum, I feel like that's a good space for misinformation to thrive, to sort of like fill that gap.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So what we call information voids are very bad. So whenever there's an information void, people will fill it themselves with rumor and conspiracy theories, and you see that with police all the time. That when they don't give out details about a case and they leave people hanging, not in terms of like, here's a timeline of I think the important thing to do for them is to say, here's a timeline. This is what we're doing to get the facts. This is how long it's going to take. But if they just leave people hanging, people are gonna start coming up with conspiracy theories because it seems suspicious. And I think it's a natural thing for people to do. So in that sense, I think information voids are bad and they contribute to the spread of conspiracy theories. I was just looking at the Epstein tapes. I mean, the person that I talked to has kind of special access to them, so I'm not sure if they're released into the public. But as you said, the FBI seems to have them. So we'll see. But
Yeah.
from what I heard, there's credible evidence that he did commit suicide. But even look at the CIA. I mean, the CIA was involved in coming up with actual conspiracy theories to overthrow other regimes.
Mm,
So the CIA actively um, floated conspiracy theories as part of influence operations. And so I think it's normal for people to have a good degree of skepticism, but the important thing is to be discerning, not to be conspiratorial. I think that's very different. So my approach is, I'm waiting for those tapes. Like, what do I know about Epstein? I mean, it
yeah.
sounds suspicious that the camera wasn't working, at the right time. Maybe they let him commit suicide, maybe not. What's the evidence, right? There's no evidence. There's tapes apparently with recordings of the suicide. So I'm have this sort of degree of uncertainty that I place on this event, saying there's probably credible evidence. There's no evidence that scientific evidence otherwise, but clearly, don't have all the details. And that's what actively open-minded thinking is about. It's weighing the evidence, having different types of explanations.